What up, crypto fam? It's Phantom. Taking another look at the market. We recovered some from yesterday where he pushed back up to just about 47K. Again, we're just ranging, not really doing anything exciting. I'm hoping that it's a green weekend, but I tend to believe that I think we need to come at least try to meet this resistance or start to break through it this weekend. It might happen Monday when the S&P opens. I'm hoping that on Monday they open really bullish. I think we need to start making a move because I think at the Bitcoin conference we may take our prices a little bit lower if it repeats anything similar to last year, and I'd like us to be at a more comfortable price before we do make that retrace. That said, we did talk on the channel and we expected a pullback of sorts towards the end of the week. It was on yesterday, Thursday, so right at the end of the week, like we thought. It's in a kind of a limbo territory. I'm not really trading anything right now until Bitcoin makes a firmer decision. It's kind of going to sit in a range, I believe, and I think the range is kind of drawn out. I'm hoping that over the weekend we get some buys from even maybe Michael Saylor over the weekend. I don't think he's tweeted about his purchases yet. I know that there's a whole ton of longs, I think, placed between 40 and 44K Bitcoin. So I'm not sure if us dropping yesterday was them trying to get the price, enough people in fear territory to get the price down into those buys, which is a possibility and that may still happen. When Bitcoin's in this type of situation, bouncing up and down in a tighter range, I just kind of sit on my hands and wait for it to make a clear decision on what it wants to do. So that's what I plan on doing. I think the pullback's healthy. I'm still bullish long term. As long as we hold this support level and close above it, I'm still mega bull, and I'll remain bullish as long as we stay above this weekly trend line. I think if we break and close below that, I will start looking at the 29K area as our next level of support. But we do have two, resistance levels to get through before something like that happens. And once we break 50K, it may bring a lot of momentum, a lot of new buyers in, getting excited that Bitcoin's back for another run. And the FOMO generally brings a lot of people into the space. Just from those even numbers, it's an emotional and a mental thing trading. So when people see, an even number like Bitcoin's above 50,000, it means something different than if it's at 49.7. It's just the way the human mind works. So I think the pullback was healthy overall. I'm happy with the range that we're in. There's nothing that really interests me. I may watch basic attention token just because it's getting a lot of volume today. I'll give you a heads up on that one. Let me pull up the chart. Yeah, so if we look at BAT, it's already at half of yesterday's volume and we're not even 4 hours into the candle. So it's getting a lot of volume. I think it only has, maybe a resistance block at the 92 to 93 cent area, and then obviously I'll start taking wins out just before a buck because, again, the even numbers tend to play games with people. But this could be an easy, 8-9% swing if played correctly. The only reason I haven't deployed any capital into this yet, obviously not financial advice, just my plan, do your own research, is Bitcoin is just bouncing around too much. If Bitcoin comes down, the altcoins are gonna rip down with it. So we'll see what Bitcoin does for the week. As far as the fear and greed index, I haven't even looked at it today. We're sitting at 52, so we've actually gone up, and it's probably because we engulfed a lot of the downside momentum or the downward candle that we had yesterday. We swallowed it right back up. So I think that's a lot of people are happy to see that, and it gets them excited when we start when we do have a pullback, but we chew right back through it and come right back to our levels that got everyone excited initially. I have 3 news articles today. 2 of them are bearish, 1 of them is bullish. So I like to play on both sides. If you don't know who this is, she's known as Aunt Kathy. She's from ARK Investments. She is, we've covered her on the channel before, but she's very big into getting into technology early. She was enormous into Tesla before they got going. She's had her hands in a lot of the S&P big tech stocks before they became anything. So she's really got her finger on the pulse of technology, at least her investment firm, and she's a big Bitcoin bull. So she and her company, ARK Investing, got rejected, who's surprised, from the SEC for spot bid Bitcoin EFT. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has rejected an application for a spot Bitcoin exchange traded fund from ARK in 21 shares. According to the filing, citing a lack of investor protections, ARK is run by star investor Cathie Wood. The application was filed on behalf of CBOE BZX Exchange to change their rules to allow for the listing of ARK 21 shares offering. The commission concludes that BZX has not met its burden under the Exchange Act and the Commission Rules of Practice to demonstrate that its proposal is consistent with the requirements of the Exchange Act, and they cite sections. In particular, the requirement that the rules of the National Security Exchange be, quote-unquote, designed to prevent fraudulent and manipulative acts and practices, and to protect investors and the public interest. So this obviously is bearish because the SEC rejected the EFT, but at the same time, the more that they continue to push back on these EFTs, people are going to get upset and people are going to start pushing back on the SEC. The SEC isn't popular by any means anywhere. And in fact, the article even talks about it. The move comes after multiple rejections and delays for spot Bitcoin EFTs, with SEC Chair Gary Gensler stating a clear preference for Bitcoin EFTs that trade Bitcoin futures. In early March, the SEC delayed decision on applications for spot Bitcoin EFTs from both WisdomTree and One River Asset. They went on to say that Grayscale is going to be coming out with a EFT as well, or the spot EFT, and if the SEC rejects their filing, they've threatened a lawsuit against the SEC. So I think they're at a point where enough's enough. It costs all these companies, money to put together these complex applications and proposals and things like that, and for people to just get rejected, citing the same nonsense, people are eventually going to start pushing back. So it's primarily bearish. Long term, I think it will be bullish because the more that they continue to push back on people, the harder people are going to start pushing. This is the bullish news that I found today. Washington State passes new Bitcoin blockchain laws. State by state, county by county, crypto regulation is on the rise. So the governor signed in that they're going to be putting a team together to research what blockchain technology can do and where it can be applied for the state of Washington, which is, huge news. They're going to put the team together at the end of the year, and that team has 1 year to propose its findings. And I couldn't be more on board with this. The fact that they're assembling a team, hoping that they have people that have been in the space for a while. The fact that they're assembling a team and then they're going to have that team go out and see what applications blockchain can be applied to, what type of innovations can be led from using blockchain technology. This is exactly what we want, right? We want people putting in the time, we want people putting in the effort, we want people putting in the research and making correct applications for what blockchain can solve and keeping the innovation moving forward in this country, not everywhere else. So I think this is great. I think this is just going to be a trend that continues. So I'm over the moon about it. I was very, very, very excited to read it. And finally, the bearish news comes from Elizabeth Warren again. Warren's battle to curtail crypto gets boost from the Ukraine conflict. If you don't know, Elizabeth Warren has been against Bitcoin since for a whole 10 years. She'll claim that it's destroying the environment, that it uses insane amounts of electricity, even though a lot of cryptocurrencies are starting to go to proof of work, a proof of stake. So she also will say that it can be used for money laundering, that it's going to be used to hide capital, that it's going to be used to smuggle drugs. It's going to come out with everything. She's going to come out with everything under the sun. She doesn't understand the tech. She gets pushed on it all the time and just comes out with the same exact rehearsed lines over and over and over again. The article reads, Warren's legislation also resembles the 2001 Patriot Act, which enhanced both the surveillance and regulation of international banking, supposedly in order to thwart the financing of terrorist activities. But if anybody knows anything from everything that Snowden released, the Patriot Act pulled huge amounts of data. They gobbled up everything. I'd like to know the electricity bill for all the storage, the terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of storage that they used to house phone calls, text messages, banking records. And when they got pushed for it, they couldn't come up with one firm example of where it thwarted something terrorist related that was an imminent threat. All of that push for overseeing, taking away some of our fundamental rights without our knowledge, she pushed for. So it doesn't surprise me that when something comes out that's decentralized and lacks control of government funding, she's going to push against it hard as she can. She's been conservative, I think, most of her political life. She's Democrat now. But for her, she's using the Ukraine conflict, saying that Russia is going to use cryptocurrency to evade sanctions. And it reads in here, transactions involving Bitcoin and the Russian ruble lack liquidity. To make a meaningful difference, Russian specially designated nationals would have to convert billions of dollars worth of rubles into crypto, and pointed out that Russia's already cut off from most of the crypto industry. The nation may not even need to turn to crypto, given the willingness of China and India to pursue de-dollarization in trade. So, at the end of the day, the ruble's worth nothing, which means crypto is going to be more expensive, which also means that they're going to have to put it over to exchanges to get rubles out of their bank. Their banks are sanctioned. There's no excuse for what she's pushing. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. It's just a narrative that she can feed off of to try to get bipartisan support to push the agenda that she's been trying to push for years. I can't sum it up any simpler than that. She is a dinosaur and doesn't want to understand the technology. She has her narrative, she has her understanding, and there's nothing that will change her mind. And when you run up against people like that, you just kind of have to go. And if she's not going to leave office, if people aren't going to get frustrated enough that she continues to stay, she'll get outdone she will get, she will become a minority when it comes to crypto. As crypto continues to receive adoption, it continues to get, push out education, people continue to research it, countries continue to accept Bitcoin. This country continues to accept Bitcoin. Washington now is building a research group to find out what other blockchain innovations can be utilized. She's not looking at the technology at all. She has her narrative, and she's going to continue to preach it until she either retires or passes. I think that's the way that it's going to be. It's unfortunate, but here we are. So, wrapping up, I think I may watch the basic attention token just because the volume is so high. I may just put some alerts on it. If I do, make any small position in this, I probably will be happy with, a smaller gain unless we pass the dollar mark. I may re-enter at that point. It's assuming that I do make entry. With Bitcoin bouncing around like it is, it's kind of in a danger territory right now. So when I mean danger territory, I mean Bitcoin's not in danger of crashing, in my opinion, at least right now, but it's in a danger territory where it's really going to be volatile in a specific range. And as long as it sits in that range, the altcoins are going to be, the Wild West. It's going to be, they're gonna have multiple ups and downs, and this is usually when people get chopped up. So I'm happy to sit on my hands as well and wait for a confirmed entry. Whether we bounce off this support or we really start hitting this resistance hard. So I probably likely will keep my eyes on that. But I think, overall, I'm remaining bullish. I think we have a good weekend ahead of us. I think the next 3 days, maybe 4 days, will be critical. If we don't at least start pushing into this resistance some, I do think that we get some pullback when the Miami conference happens. Unless the Miami conference, they got some big things coming in their back pocket, and they just release news that sets fire to the market. I think we see some type of pullback then. So I would be more comfortable if Bitcoin was in a position that we could, maybe we break through a good chunk of this resistance, turn it into support, and we can, test that and then make our continuation upward after the conferences. So that's kind of where I'm sitting. We'll see what happens over the night, what happens during the day tomorrow, and we'll adjust. Have a plan for it going up, it going down, or it continuing to chop. Got a plan for all three, and we just execute the plan day by day as we see it unfold. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you consider subscribing or following if you enjoy the content. Till then, I hope you have a great rest of your Friday. I hope you have an even better Saturday, and I'll catch you in the next video. Till then, peace.